Good evening, everyone. It's 6:11. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Start with a roll call. Ms. Appleton's out of the country, so y'all have to suffer through me running the meeting tonight. So I'm here. Ms. Jones,
Here.
Mr. Romine. Here. Mr. Calderon's at the city commission meeting, so he should be here shortly. I've asked Mr. Romine to lead us in prayer, and I'll lead us in the pledge if you'd like.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for letting us be here tonight. Lord, guide us as we consider the things that are in front of us. Help us to make the best decisions for the school and for the students. Be with us as we go through the coming year. Be with the teachers and the administration.
Join the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'll seek approval for the agenda for the meeting February 20th, 2024.
So move.
Second.
I'll probably move motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Next, I'd seek approval for the action on the minutes for the regular board meeting, January 16th, 2024.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of January 16th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. At this time, we open up the floor to public comment. I'd ask that you keep your comments to 5 minutes.
Mr. President, I'd like to point out something that occurred last Thursday. Mr. Byrd is here, and I shared with the board on Thursday when we were present in Albuquerque. So on Thursday, Brian and I went up and back to Albuquerque for the New Mexico Apprenticeship Council, statewide council that oversees and registers apprenticeship programs in the state of New Mexico. United States Department of Labor recognized education as a program having an apprenticeship model. Never been done before. It's never been recognized in that way. So with the partnership with Permanent Strategic Partnership and the National Center for Grow Your Own, Fran was able to submit our application, our standards for an apprenticeship. And we presented that on Thursday, answered questions to that council, and received unanimous approval. So Hobbs Schools, not Hobbs High School, but Hobbs Municipal Schools is the recipient of the first apprenticeship program in the state of New Mexico, specifically tied to teachers. So
Awesome.
good job, Brian.
Great job, Brian. Thank you so much.
And as they said, after every single one of those, now the work begins. But we will have the opportunity to, through that, continue to grow our own with a more intentional effort and a more focused effort, something that we have more control over rather than things outside of our control.
Right. That's a great program. I remember we talked about that Thursday, and we talked about it previously, and I think it's with the teacher shortage and the schools, the higher education just isn't putting teachers out. I mean, it's just not something that kids are going to school for, like they were in the past. So I think any opportunity we have like that to take people in our system and get them to that level is awesome. They're familiar with our system, familiar with our schools, and they know what they're getting into. Any other comments? Ethan, you don't have anything? All right. Moving on to instructions. Good.
Mr. Vice President, members of the board, tonight we are going to bring for your consideration the high school course description book for 24-25. Coming down to the front will be our high school principal, Mr. Parrish, and Ethan Ayers from the counseling office. And they're going to give an overview and also answer any questions that you might have. And we appreciate all of their work on this. It is a process, right, guys?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Vice President, members of the board, you should have in front of you the 24-25 course book presentation. The green, what you see in the green is new, what is in the red is what we've taken out. On W4 in y'all's book, 4 and 5 is our honors level courses. It's just a description of what honors means and then also the exit procedures for those honor classes. Do I have any questions? Okay. The next page, I believe it's 6, honor grad worksheet. If it's in green, we've added it. If it's in red, open it out. Question? Pages 8 and 9 is the alternative credits. What green, is added. Dual credit courses. Also, there was 3 new courses added there in green. ACT Academy, which is the NMJC, we've added those vet science classes. The NMJC. Agriculture. There was one new request, and that is the intro to agriculture. The rest was just cleaning up and making it more efficient. Page 16 is the business page. There was 2 new graphic design, 1 and 2, and then the rest is just clean up. Education on page 19, it changes, it's added to grow the program. I think this is the second year, going into 3rd year for next year. So it's going to be a dual credit through the NMJC. E-Tech add-on and even the changes, their career pathways for level 3 courses. On page 32, sorry, 31 and 32 is science. Changing it to biology pre-AP, and then the human anatomy, psychology 1 and 2. Those will be social credit. No. Yes. Okay. Okay. So those are good. Okay. Social studies, the only new is an elective, American history through wars. It's just an elective. It's not dual credit, nothing like that.
Interesting class. I think I'd like to take that class.
Yeah, should be.
Let me know schedule. I'm trying
Uh,
to, if I can enroll. I'd say like it'd be an interesting class.
Yes, sir. Pages 34, 35 is the 9th grade, and it's just clean up. And then page 36 is the Alternative Learning Center, and it's basically classes they're taking out that they don't offer anymore. Page 37 is just an overall of the cleanup, the leaders.
On the vet science, is that something new for the JC this year?
I believe from what Mr. Caney was talking about, it's new because they have a actual veterinarian that's going to teach those classes.
Oh, good. We did anything, I know we talked at one time, maybe like with the school.
You're exactly right, Mr.
Yeah.
Brown. It is an additional offering on that career pathway for students interested in vet science. With that partnership of the JC, we actually have an agreement with Texas Tech.
Right.
Any credit the JC offers and provides and awards, Texas Tech honors that.
Cool.
And so that is an exact pathway into Texas Tech vet science.
Awesome. A lot of work.
Yes, sir. Question? Okay, thank you.
I think the comment I would make is absolutely Debbie's right. This effort starts probably back in October formally.
Yeah,
They start meeting and start reviewing those courses, and literally that's right at the point when courses have just gotten leveled
yeah.
for that school year. So they're already thinking about that next year, and so absolutely appreciate Mr. Ayers and Mr. Parrish, that entire team puts this together, because there's a lot of work goes into that.
And I guess, like I talked about the CTEC classes, going to level 3 classes, per year. So
Yes, sir.
those freshmen are those sophomore kids, so.
Correct. Yeah. Build those.
Need a consideration.
Okay.
Mr. Vice President.
So I'd take a motion to approve the course description book.
So move.
Second.
Properly motion second, all in favor? Aye, all opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. For Human Resources.
Mr. Vice President, members of the board, so you have your monthly reports on employment and either resignation or possible termination. Since last board meeting, we had 3 certified teachers that were hired in this last cycle. 16 classified positions were filled throughout the district. We had unfortunately 3 certified resignations. 2 of the teachers that ended up leaving were for different personal issues as far as moving out of Hobbs. And then we had 5 classified resignations on this last one, and we did have 1 classified termination. I will stand for any questions. Those reports. The last report that you'll have is the renewal of cabinet for letters of intent for the 24-25 school.
Any questions?
No
Mr.
question.
Burns?
I have,
Thank you. Mr. Young, Operations.
Mr. Vice President, members of the board, I will try to not be as long as Mr. Byrd was just now. I don't think I'm going to be able to manage it. So you have before you project updates for February. We'll start with Southern Heights Elementary School replacement. That phase 2 began in January. Ongoing, the demolition continues. And included in your packet at the end of this presentation are some pictures showing progress of the demo. A lot of that has to do with getting areas demoed, cleared out so that we can start flat work and curbing in those areas. And so that area is pretty much cleaned up now to start next week. The installation of the pre-K playground, some of the concrete work will be going in, and also some of those areas that will be applied to grades 1 through 5, K through 5 playground areas as well. So we're slowly getting there. That fence line is slowly moving north. We'll be able to start getting the kids a little bit more room to get outside here in the springtime, and hopefully start being able to enjoy a little bit of that with Southern Heights. Tidings Auditorium chiller replacement. We finally got our controls in. We are able to control Tidings Auditorium from a central location for their heat and air. So that's good. New middle school study. So our community teams did site visits on February 12th and 13th of last week, Monday and Tuesday. On Monday, we went to Lubbock and visited Lubbock Cooper Independent School District, visited their new middle school out of Woodrow, and also a little older middle school. It's about 12 years old, Laura Bush Middle School in Lubbock Cooper. Community members, staff members, and freshman students all participated. Came away with some really good ideas, some good thoughts. And then on Tuesday, we went to Roswell, to Mesa Middle School over there, and took a look at their renovation and new classrooms at Mesa. And then from there, drove to Clovis, went over there and looked at Gaddis Middle School. And I think we came away from those visits with some good ideas of what we liked and what we didn't like. As a result, we met again today, back together as a committee, kind of put models together, so to speak, with some layout of the area, and then being able to manipulate pre-drawn office areas, gym areas, locker room areas, art, music, 7th grade, 8th grade, 6th grade core classroom areas. And came away from there with really 4 good ideas that will come back on March the 11th and debrief again with those 4 models. It was pretty split among the group of, do we want a 2-story building or do we want a 1-story building? So 2 of those design models in March will be a 1-story, 2 of them will be 2 stories. So we'll try to get that put together. Drew Rickman was a part of that today. Did a great job. I think 2 of the 4 came from his group that we'll be looking at again. So a lot of participation, a lot of involvement, a lot of collaboration. We are by no means anywhere close to having a design, but we are starting that. What do we want it to look and feel like as far as space and how we want it organized? I think the major consensus coming out of there was we want to keep our 6th graders over here, 7th, 8th graders, kind of separate that 6th grade group from those older kids a little bit. Not entirely, you can't do that, but for the most part, have a 6th grade academic area that they would mainly be in. So it was a really good meeting today, and just see what happens March. Ongoing district projects, Rec 7 alterations, the furniture will arrive March the 4th so that we can get that assembled and put together, get them into that renovated building. So our anticipated timeline, it takes a couple of weeks to get all that put together, is that when they come back from spring break, they will be moved into their areas. Met with all of our departments today, this morning. Maintenance will have boxes and crews ready to go to help those folks out at Rec 7. Everything's set up, ready to go for fax machines, computers. College Lane site improvements. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. We met with Pettigrew on February 8th and adjusted the specs after we had rejected the bids in January. And so that will go back out. Pettigrew's working on the estimates right now. I should have those in the next day or 2, and then that can go out to companies to take a look at. We are going to, in looking at our own project, we are going to replace the exterior sewer lines on that west side of College Lane prior to the construction taking place. Get that taken care of before we lay new asphalt and concrete. We go digging that up 2 or 3 years after all that's brand new. Roofing repairs, we are anticipating having a bid for March board meeting to repair our roofs district-wide. There was an engineering firm several years ago that came in and did an assessment. From that, we want to go in and start getting that repaired. We've got small leaks all over the place, and we need a major district-wide sweep of those roofs. Ongoing projects, the fence across the street from CTEC, that's been ordered. So that'll start going in as soon as the materials start arriving. Window replacement at Will Rogers has started. They just started that over there. security film that is almost completed. I'll do a walkthrough with Safe Haven on Thursday. We'll do any punch items, anything that needs to be repaired, fixed. And then, once we get that done, they have the materials now to start on the new Southern Heights and get that taken care of as well. Edison replacement of interior doors, cabinets, and windows, that has been completed. And we are now in the process of trying to figure out what we're doing next year, lake projects.
Gotta keep you busy.
Yeah,
Idle hands are a good workshop.
that's good. I like that.
You got nothing else going on, a couple of middle schools to build and things like that, but
All good,
stack on top of that, I think.
all good.
Yeah.
So that, again, at the end, you see the demolition areas. You can kind of see the difference between February 2nd and last Friday. I took some more pictures. See where they cleaned up the areas. I think there's one of the pictures in there where I did a blow up of stakes being laid out. So, those are for the playground areas and then also for that north drive. Any questions?
Okay, Mr. Calder.
I was at a city commission meeting. I know it, all of that. Before I go on, Rick and I attended the School Board Institute. And the program that, you and I went to, Ortiz and Peter Zamora put on, I wish they would repeat that again because those three we need to let Joe VN because those were super. The others were good, but I'd stay for a little bit for the third one because I was coming home, but they were good and you were there and you heard a couple or one of them anyway. They're good. They had information on evaluated superintendents. We've already done yours, but I brought a copy and just to let the rest of the commission, school board know that it was a good one. Very good,
Weather was decent.
yes. And I ate a lot too. We went to my favorite enchiladas with 2 eggs over easy and can eat too. I mean,
Or pancake with pinon.
twice, and you have to have that blue pancake with. We look forward to that too, I think. Anyway, I better shut up now.
Any other questions, Mr. Young, on operations?
I have none.
Before we go on, are they gonna demolish the building across the street? It's ours, I think, isn't it? Or we haven't gotten the word?
Mr. Calderon, we have not gotten a word yet. We are awaiting a phase 1 environmental study of that building. As soon as we get that, we'll be able to make some determinations, get back with the landowner. He intends to give us that property. As soon as we get that phase 1 environmental, we'll have the information available to make a determination as to whether we want it or not, or whether or not what it will cost us to remediate. So it is forthcoming. I don't have a timeline of a arrival on that. We will follow up with that environmental company tomorrow.
It's great, business.
Mr. President, members of the board, for your consideration, expenditures, investments, and several bars.
The board has had their packet since last week, so I trust if anybody had any questions, I got Ms. Gray. Any questions at this time?
Have none.
No question.
I'd seek a motion to approve the expenditures, investments, and bars.
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor,
Aye.
all opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. And Mr. President, members of the board, the only other thing I have is the monthly budget report for you. For your information.
Thank you, Ms. Gray. You do all that work and you're always the shortest one.
Short and sweet,
I
that's
think you- I feel like you do more work than anybody.
Well, my budget time's coming up and that's always my.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be.
And the
you know, it's-
auditors, I haven't scheduled them, but they'll, and haven't checked in this restriction, but they may be here in March.
Yeah.
Because our audit was accepted by the state auditor, so.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you
yeah.
For everything you do. Mr. Strickland,
Yes, sir.
6:36, so.
All right. Just for the audience's benefit. You did provide some instruction when we were working on the agenda for tonight, but no. Mr. Vice President, members of the board, legislative roundup, a wrap up, that did complete Thursday at noon. And I've got a couple highlights there. I think the overall expression from Hobbs Schools is we did okay. We know that we've had legislative sessions where it's been very poor. And we did okay. Given a 30-day session, there was not a ton of time for things to jockey back and forth. I do believe there was nearly 700 pieces of legislation introduced in a 30-day session. And we all know if only pieces of legislation will be considered that have an impact on the budget. So moving that forward, I think that totaled around 100 and something bills that included a budget item. Not all of them made it through both houses and Senate. One that is of particular interest is House Bill 2. That's annually the state budget. The governor has on her desk for consideration a statewide budget of just over $10 billion. Within that, there's $4.4 billion committed to public education. Within that, there currently is legislation that says a 3% raise for salary or for staff, expansions of K-12 plus programs and other pieces that are there. Legislature continues to highlight career technical education, structured literacy, and a number of other efforts that continue to ask for evidence-based programs. One of the things that's of interest specific to House Bill 2 is on the House side, there was an amendment that was made on the floor that was approved and made it through the Senate as well. It said that no portion of that budget for public education could be used to require schools to attend school 180 days. You all know there's a rule out there, a pending rule from the Secretary of Education. That amendment was adopted and is sitting on the governor's desk as part of that budget. Reading the paper today, appreciate that, Mr. Brosig. It does appear that, and we expected it, that she will line item veto that amendment. And then we do believe the 180-day calendar rule will drop soon after that. And in the grand scheme of things, in terms of calendar, that doesn't affect Hobbs Schools in a great way. Biggest tweak is going to be on Wednesdays for our elementaries. We will add 10 minutes to those Wednesdays so that those days qualify as a full instructional day. Overall, will not impact our calendar in large ways. There will be school districts that it will impact them significantly. There's some school districts that have 154 days, and they've got to come up with 26 days somewhere in their calendar. So the other bill, or another bill that's of interest is House Bill 171. This is probably the third year that it's been in the legislative cycle, and it's gone through a number of revisions and tweaks, and it is high school graduation requirements. I believe the last time graduation requirements were considered was well over a decade. In fact, it may be closer to 20 years ago that those graduation requirements were considered. This bill that has already been signed by the governor will not take effect until the fall of 26. School year 26, so our current 7th graders are who this will apply to. Our current 8th graders, 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 12th graders, they will be under the current graduation requirements and will continue to be on that once this new one takes effect. So high school, freshman school, and even 8th grade, given those requirements now, we will live in those two models once this one becomes effective. But our work will begin this summer and really into the fall next year to provide what that looks like for us. It'll have an impact on our course description book, just took action on tonight, as well as scheduling for those freshmen in the spring of next year. A year from now, we will be scheduling those 8th graders move into their freshman year. They'll have to do some work there. One item to note is there are 2 full credits that are at the local discretion of that school district. Historically in Hobbs, we've taken that liberty anyway. State requirement currently is 24 credits. This bill can maintain that. However, in Hobbs, our current graduation requirement is 26. We've taken that liberty to say we're going to require 2 additional credits to graduate from Hobbs High School. This bill now allows that within those 24 credits. We'll be able to have some options available, especially staff will provide school board with some options as to which direction we head in terms of those 24 credits. The biggest story out of that is it does provide students greater flexibility in determining their career, selecting courses that fit their career interests. Current graduation requirement is a college prep model, and industry tells us right now that roughly 70% of the careers do not require a 4-year degree. Every career requires additional training, requires additional education. We agree with that. It's time that our graduation requirements reflect what industry is asking. We're grateful to all the work that's gone into this over the last 3 years. Another bill there is Senate Bill 137, and it specifically codifies school board trainings and clarifies the training requirements for school boards. Calls out the additional, not the additional, but the hours required in addition to any school board candidate that expenses or takes in $1,000 collectively now has to complete a campaign finance report. Before, it was only school districts larger than 12,000 students. That didn't apply to us. That is a provision of that statute or that law that will become law on July the 1st. Some of the things that are already there that we're already doing. We have to archive our board meetings for 3 years. We're doing that on YouTube already. Those things are available already. So operationally, not a ton of change. We'll have probably more of a reporting mechanism to it than anything else before. I think the other one that we paid a lot of attention to was Senate Joint Resolution 9. And this was a bipartisan effort that would take a measure of our State Board of Education, which we currently do not have, in front of the voters who create a State Board of Education. Currently are governed by the Secretary of Education, and we all know that is an appointed position by the governor, and that position has a tendency to be political based upon the governor's political aspirations and or ideologies. So we see that swing every single election. The State Board of Education is a model that we had 20 years ago. And as the state of New Mexico, we made a constitutional amendment to create what we have today. This effort is to not necessarily go back to that model, but create that State Board of Education, 15-member board. 5 of those positions would be appointed by the governor, and no more than 3 can be of the same political party of the governor at that time. The other 2 can be from the opposite party or even non-affiliated party. The 10 positions would be elected from our electorate districts within New Mexico that already exist, similar to what's on the Public Education Commission. The way this was drafted is that it would not take effect until the next gubernatorial election. So the current governor would not be affected by this. However, this Senate Joint Resolution stalled in House Education. I believe that will come back, and we'll come back around in the 60-day session. We are grateful, Hobbs Schools is grateful to the work of our legislators and that contingency that represents us in Santa Fe. It is nice, it is refreshing to get text messages, to get phone calls from our legislators, to ask questions, and to seek clarification on the impacts of things that they're being asked and taking vote on. We appreciate their efforts, and we will continue to work in the interim to find a fix or find a mechanism within our funding formula to appropriately fund career technical education. We've said it before that every child will have a career, and it's long past time that our educational system ignores that. We should be providing those opportunities that are career relevant. High school diploma becomes a byproduct of that experience. That I would stand for questions on the legislation or the legislative session.
But they got a lot done.
Huh?
They got a lot done this time.
They did, yeah, it's kind of like, I won't get on my soapbox like,
It's all right.
but like the school board training, you know, it's the only, you don't have to have training to be a city commission.
No, but we go to phase.
You go, but it's not required in state statute. The only elected position in the state that's required by state statute to have training. We have a very important job. I mean, children's education, probably one of the most important jobs elected officials have in the state. But governor runs the state. So obviously, she had very little training, so to get her job. So, but so yeah, so it just sometimes they get it kind of all, and I know where that came from. I think New Mexico think tank thing, but you know, it's I do appreciate all the hard work that our legislator, Mr. Scott and Mr. Gallegos and Mr. Freddie Brewer and all them put in up there. I know they're a lot of times they're, you know, beating their head against the wall to try to get things done, but I do appreciate everything they do. It's a hard job.
The next item I have is information, really as a follow-up from an opportunity you allow me to participate in, and that's the Educational Research and Development Institute. Member of that institute, a nationwide research and development opportunity. We have 2 institutes a year, and they bring superintendents from all over the nation together to have solution providers present what their ideas are, what their ideations are on solutions for education. Some of the most robust professional development that I've had the opportunity to participate in, because it really allows us to think through our thought process, consider those options. Not a sales pitch, so we don't have to have that wall up. We literally get to look at products and give honest feedback of saying, I wouldn't do that, that wouldn't land well, that would land great. Here is an iteration that you may consider. Those products go back to the drawing board, and they take that opportunity to hear that, revise their solutions. You have a list there of the solution providers that I spent time with last week. Some interesting things there, some things that I were not aware of. I will tell you that Aptigee is one that we are interested in terms of the solution that it does provide. So we do have a follow-up phone call with Aptigee next week, what the potential is there as we think about communication as a whole, how we communicate within our schools. Another one that was interesting was Hive Class. We're fortunate here in Hobbs that all of our elementaries have PE teachers. Students receive PE every week. Many places, PE is provided by the classroom teacher. And so what Hive Class does is it is a repository of physical education lessons and activities that anyone, a substitute, could actually access and provide that to students who may not have a certified PE teacher. Wasn't aware that that was present. Another one is Honest Game. I like what Honest Game is trying to do. However, I was not real excited about the niche market that they're targeting. It seems to do a lot of things for students, for all students, and primarily for our staff. I think the benefit to us would be, we struggle a lot of times, and Ethan can attest to this, and Chantel can attest to this, how difficult it is to just confirm without a shadow of a doubt that a kid's met all the requirements for graduation. If you've ever seen those documents that they use to track students, it's mind-numbing. Honest Game is a solution that's in development. Right now, it's only targeting students that are interested in attending college as student athletes. So that's 5% of our student population. We got 95% that would help our staff if there's a solution available that could help with that. So I'm anxious to see what Honest Game's feedback becomes. The other pieces there you can see are some furniture providers, as you can imagine. School furnishings in school districts is a highly competitive arena. Ed Spaces is something that's new to us. We've never been to that. But it is an event, and it's an event where roughly 99% of the manufacturers are present in one spot. The feedback we've heard from other individuals is that school districts will go to create a district standard in that setting. They will bring educators, classroom teachers, administrators to that event to be able to get a look at all those things. We go through furniture selection, whether it's annual or whether it's on projects, big projects. That process is months in the making, because we will select a handful of manufacturers, we'll receive some samples, we'll consider those, and then we'll make decisions off of those. So Ed Spaces is something that we've already expressed interest to Ed Spaces that we intend on attending. And that session next year will be in November, and it will be in Houston. Given especially where we are with our middle schools, we will be attending that. Help gain a broader perspective on the furnishings. The next ERDI session is in July 9th to the 13th in Salt Lake City. And as that event comes closer, definitely share those details. But the one item to note is Hobbs Schools bears no financial burden and our participation in ERDI. ERDI sponsors superintendents to participate in that for their opportunities through research and development. That would stand for question.
Questions, comments?
I have none.
No question.
Was
Announcements?
that for the close?
You're good. You can leave it. I took up some of your time.
Oh, you're good. Last item, Mr. President, is announcements. You can see the three there. The end of the third 9 weeks is fast approaching, just in 3 weeks from now. Spring break will follow the end of that third 9 weeks, and then we will be back together on March the 26th. A couple of other items is the NAACP Annual Black History Awards Banquet is this Saturday evening. We are hosting that at our Commons. You do have tickets there at your desk that the Hobbs branch of the NAACP has provided. And we would love for us to attend. They do have a table available for us. Winter sports. We are in the last week of a lot of those. Well, primarily basketball is finishing up their regular season this week. Our other winter sports are in their state championships this week. We'll have some send-offs this week for those groups. By the time we get back together in March, we will have had all of our winter sports state championships occur, and we will be in our spring sports. They'll be in full swing. Build and Review, annual event for Hobbs schools and Hobbs High School is this weekend. And so you have 3 show times to go and see those efforts, Thursday and Saturday at 6:30, and then Sunday at 2 p.m. at Tidings Auditorium. That's the announcement.
The Maddox speaker series says Jose Hernandez, gentleman that worked in the fields and became an astronaut. I got my ticket already. And I bring that up because there's a gentleman in Hobbs that I visited yesterday. I won't mention his name or anything, but he and his brother came across one pair of shoes, went to Edison. And if he's not a millionaire now, over being a millionaire. He's a young businessman. And I kind of equated with Jose Hernandez. I saw on Netflix, I saw the Million Miles Away. It's pretty interesting. So I just thought I'd pass that out because I was excited.
And we will have a student presentation that afternoon. He will speak to about 200 of our kids from junior high up through high school. We're excited about that afternoon session before the evening session.
And we have one of our own. That's why I brought that up. I won't mention his name. But
That's it. Yes, sir.
Vámonos.
Second. I'll second that, so I always do. Have a motion and a second, Chair. All in favor?
Motion.
All opposed? But it's, everybody safe travels home. Thanks.